A full face of drugstore makeup for the mature woman. It's easy, it's affordable, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it step by step. Welcome to Pretty Over 50. I'm Kimberly, and I'm really glad you're here. Today we're going to be putting together a full face of drugstore makeup for the mature woman. And if you're over 50 or like me over 60, I'm sure you remember the brands from our teenage days. Bonnie Bell, Noxzema, CoverGirl, remember those? Well, a few of them are still around. Some of them have fallen away. The good news is that drugstore makeup has gotten so much better over the years. And in many cases, I prefer the drugstore products over high-end, not only for the affordable price point, but for the terrific formulas. So my face is all prepped here. I've done my serums, my moisturizers, and when you're done with your face preparation for the morning, it's always good to let it sit for a while and allow it to really soak into the skin. So what I do is I put on my serums, my moisturizers, then I set my phone for 22 minutes and 22 seconds and I go meditate and allow all those products to really absorb into my skin. We're going to begin today with an eyeshadow primer from Milani. This is a great drugstore brand and very, very popular. And you just want to squirt out a tiny little bit on your finger. You can see right there. And I'm going to go ahead and just wash that over my eyelids. This is really going to help our eyeshadow stay on during the day and really intensify the color of whatever eyeshadow brand and product that we're using. I've got that eyeshadow primer all patted in over my eyelids, and I'm going to give it just a couple of minutes to dry. And while that's drying down, I'm going to prime my face with the e.l.f. Mineral Infused Primer. This is really one of my favorites, and you can find this at almost any drugstore. I put a small amount on the back of my hand, and then just dab it and slowly wash it over the areas of my face that I want to have a little bit of smoothing and priming. I make sure that I get a nice layer underneath my eyes where I'm going to put my concealer so that I've got a good foundation for my concealer to hang on to. Next, I'm going to go in with the Rimmel Brow This Way, and this is in the color Blonde. And I'm going to go ahead and just start defining my eyebrows for this look. I'm going to take a small angle brush. You can see it has a very thin layer of bristles, and I'm going to tap it into the lighter color and just start defining the outline of my brows. I personally prefer a powder formula for my eyebrows. The hair on my brows in some areas is so thick that I found that a powder really works better for me. If you have thinner eyebrows, you might enjoy a pencil, an eyebrow pencil, better than a powder. And when you're doing your eyebrows, you really want to focus on the arch area. I know it's really tempting to go in and really put a lot of color at the beginning of the brow, but that really just draws down our eye and makes us look a little bit older. But by focusing on the arch of the brow, we're really drawing attention to that lifted part of our eyebrow. When I'm finished with my eyebrows, I'll go in with a Q-tip and just run it along the edges of my eyebrow to make sure to clean up any color that may have gotten outside of the eyebrow area. This really helps to give us a cleaner, sharper look for our brows. I'm going to start on the makeup with eyes today, and the reason I want to do that is because as I'm putting together the eye look, there may be a little bit of fallout that happens as a result of applying the shadows. So by doing my eyes first, I can clean up any fallout underneath my eyes before I move on to foundation. And I'm going to be working with the Wet n Wild Petalette Eyeshadow Squad Quad today. And these have been around for a long time. You might even remember seeing them in your local drugstore. This is a great line of shadows, and this is a beautiful color palette. And one of the nice things about the Wet n Wild eyeshadow palettes is that they really tell you exactly where to put each color. So if you're not familiar with putting together a full eyeshadow eye, this can really be a nice little way to understand where each color goes. So I'm going to start in today with the crease color, which is right up here, this color right up here. And I'm just going to gently tap my brush in, tap off any excess, and start working that into the crease of my eye. And I'm going to do that with just really very light, small circular strokes. And the reason I want to do that is as we age, the skin on our eyes gets a little crepey and a little loose and a little thinner. So by using a very light hand, I'm moving that skin around less and getting more product where I want it. And I find that holding the brush a little further down on the handle really helps with that type of application. So I'm just going to go small light circles right in that crease of my eye. As I'm working with this crease color, I'm very careful not to go past the end of my eyebrow. The reason is that if that color comes down further than that end of my eyebrow, it really tends to draw the eye down and make us look a little bit older. And one thing that I have to watch out for, maybe you do too, is as I lift my eye to apply the shadow, where that eyeshadow ends is different as my eye is lifted than when I relax my eye. So I almost have to be careful to stop sooner than I think I should, and when I relax my eye again, I find out it's in just the right place. Other eye. Now I'm going to go in with a very soft bristled blending brush, and I'm going to blend out that edges of that crease color so they're very, very smooth and we have no hard edges. This is really what's going to give you a very natural, very beautiful look for your eyeshadow application, blending those edges out and making sure that the color transition goes very smoothly from one color to the next. Now I'm going to take a smaller flat brush and I'm going to dip it into this pretty purple, light purple lid color right here. And I'm just going to tap my brush into the product, tap it off, and just gently start patting that over my lid. And the reason I want to pat that color on is that I don't want to move the skin on my lid as I'm applying the shadow. And so by patting it on, I'm getting the product exactly where I want it. Now I'm going to go back in with my blending brush and I'm just going to smooth out the edges between the lid color and the crease color. And this will really help those two colors blend in together very well. This is such a beautiful little palette and you can find them just about everywhere. And I believe they come in about 10 to 12 different colorways. So you have lots of choices with this little Wet n Wild quad palette. Now I want to give the eye a little bit of pop, and to do that we're going to really define the outside edges of our eye. So I'm going to take a smaller brush, and it's a little bit more tapered, kind of has a flat top, and I'm going to dip it into this dark color right here. Just lightly dip it in, tap off the excess, and then I'm going to start tapping it on the outside edge of my eyelid. And I'm going to go from the lid color all the way up to that crease. And what this is going to do is really define our eye and help them to really pop and look very pretty and larger too. So I'm just going to tap that color straight up and down on the outside of my lid right there. This is a dark purple, almost has a little touch of maroon in it. It's really a great defining color for that outside edge. Now I'm going to go in with the blending brush again and just blend out the edges of that contrasting color on the outside edge. So I'm going to take my blending brush and just small circles around that color. I don't want to bring it too far into my lid. I just want to blend out the edges of where it meets the crease color and the lid color. This is really easy once you get the hang of it. I'm going to go in with another flat brush now, and I'm going to dip it into the cream color right in the middle. Just tap a little bit on my brush, tap it off, and then I'm just going to sweep this under the brow bone. Just a very light wash of that color. And that's really going to give us a lot of lift and pop for that arch of our eyebrow, really drawing our eye up and giving us a very wide-eyed, youthful look. This is really going to draw the focus of our eye up into that arch area, really giving us a very open, fresh-eyed look. Now that we have most of our shadow work done, I'm going to go back in with a tissue and clean up any fallout that happened during the shadow application so that we have a clean palette to work with our foundation and concealer with. For foundation today, we'll be using the Revlon Color Stay, and I'm trying out the neutral beige in the color 220. And this comes in a nice pump applicator. Nice glass bottle. It's a very lovely product, and I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit onto the back of my hand, and I'm just going to start tapping that around the face. And I need to make sure that I get application on the sides of my face where I have some sunspots from all my time on the beach. I'm going to start working that around with a complexion brush, and this is from Real Techniques. It's their complexion brush, and I really enjoy applying my foundation with this brush. This foundation has a really beautiful finish, particularly for a mature woman, because it's a kind of a soft, dewy finish. It's not a real luminescent, but it does kind of add just a little touch of that sort of moist look to your skin. And if you have a little bit of dry skin, this can really help to add a little bit of glow back to your face. Doesn't it have a nice finish? I think it's a real pretty foundation, particularly for women our age. Now I'm going to start working on the under eye area, and this can be kind of a challenge if you're a little bit older. As a rule of thumb, I try to use only 3 products underneath my eyes because I want to put as little product under there as possible and get maximum coverage. So I'm going to start today with the L'Oreal TruMatch Peachy Concealer. And what this is going to do is it's going to neutralize that purple coloration that I get inside my eyes. So I'm going to take just a little bit of this product very lightly in that area. And I'm going to take my ring finger and just tap it in gently. And this is going to help just press the product into my skin so it doesn't move around when we apply the concealer. For concealer today, I'm going to use the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer. And this is a very popular product. I'm using it in the color Brightener. And it comes with like a little sponge applicator, but I just ripped that off because I don't enjoy using it. So it just comes right out of this little tip, and I'm just going to take a little bit onto the back of my hand, and you can see it's just a couple of tiny, tiny little dots. I'm going to tap my ring finger into those, and then I'm just going to gently tap that under each eye in the areas that I want some color correcting. And I find that looking up while I do this really helps the concealer to apply more smoothly and stay out of my little nooks and crannies. You can see that not only did that help with my under eye circles, but it added kind of an instant brightening effect that's really a function of the coloration of this particular formula, which I think is really good. Now I'm going to take my beauty sponge, and I'm just going to spray it very lightly and kind of bring that out, and I'm going to tap that gently underneath my eyes. And that's going to press that product in to the skin. and give it just a real soft, satiny finish that you can't get with a brush or your finger. Now that I have that set in really smoothly, I'm going to set that under eye concealer. And I know this maybe sounds a little counterintuitive, but actually setting it with a very, very light powder will help that concealer stay and not settle in so much into any fine lines or wrinkles you might have under your eyes. So I'm going to use a product that I've been loving. It's the HD Perfect Finish HD powder. And this isn't even a loose powder, it is a compact. I really enjoy this product for my under eye concealer. It does a great job, and I've tried some other powders and just haven't liked them as well, so I continue to use this one. So I'm just going to swirl my brush around in there, tap off any excess, and then I'm very gently going to lay that under my eye, really gently, and just set that concealer into place. Then I'm going to go back in with my beauty sponge and just press that powder in very lightly. Then I'm going to take the beauty sponge and go over my entire face and really press that foundation in, because this is going to give it just a real beautiful satiny, dewy finish. And I always need to make sure that I get all my little nooks and crannies from my marionette lines. I'm going to go back into that e.l.f. powder again and get a little bit on my brush and just lightly tap it around my face to kind of set that foundation. Particularly in the T-zone area where you can get a little oily. For bronzer, I'm going to use the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Contouring Palette. And this is new to me and I'm really kind of enjoying it. It has both a highlighter and a bronzer. I mostly just use the bronzer. So I'm going to take a very, very fluffy brush. This brush is from e.l.f. I'm going to tap it into the bronzing formula, tap off any excess, and just start going around the edges of my face. The reason we want to contour as we get a little bit older is that the angles of our face can get a little softer. And by contouring the outside edges, we're really kind of sharpening up the features on our face. So I always make sure that I start at the hairline and right around the edges of my face, a little bit into the hollows of my cheeks, not too far in, just towards the outside of my face. And a little bit under the chin. Applying this under our chin is really going to help define that chin line. I know mine is not nearly as defined as it used to be. So just a little down the neck to add a little bit of color. And then I'll go back in and really, really blend that so I don't have any noticeable edges, and it's just a soft, glowy contour around the edge of my face. You can see that really helped define the outside edges and give just a little bit of cheek contour there. For blush today, we're going to be working with the Profusion Pink Nudes palette, and this is just truly one of my favorites. It's a great price point. I think it's about $7. You get all these shadows up here and then 3 beautiful blushes down here. I use this almost every day. So I'm going to take a smaller brush and I'm going to dip it into the color Fantasia right here, tap off any excess, and then I'm just going to very lightly dust that over the outside edge of the apple of my cheeks. We don't want to go right here because bringing color down here is going to bring our face down and age us. So placing it towards the back is going to lift and give a much more youthful appearance. So I'm just going to lightly dust it toward the back of the apples of my cheeks. This formulation has just a little bit of glow to it, not in a sparkle necessarily, but just kind of a glow from within look. It's really very pretty. I found that, you know, during the middle of the day when I've had my makeup on for several hours, I can look in the mirror and maybe everything else doesn't look quite as fresh, but my cheek color with that little bit of glow just looks beautiful. Now I'm going to go back in and tap into this brighter pink right here. This is Blossom. And I'm just going to tap very gently that brighter pink just in that outside edge of that apple. Now you can see how putting that blush towards the outside of our cheeks really helps to lift, slim the face, and give a much more youthful appearance. Now I'm going to go in with my big fluffy blending brush again and blend those edges out so everything is very smooth and there's no hard lines. Before we put on our mascara, I'm going to do just a little bit of work underneath my eyes. With a mature face, we need to be more thoughtful about keeping the emphasis on the top of our eye and not so much underneath our eye. So I really try to keep any work that I do just towards the very outer edge underneath my eye. So I'm going to take a very small pencil brush. You can see it's a tiny little tip. And I'm going to dip it into that darkest color right there and just get a little bit on my brush. Tap it off. And then I'm just going to run it just on the outside, very outside edge of my lower eye. And I'm going to connect it up with that dark color on the upper lid. So we're really just giving a definition to that outside area of the eye and not bringing it down across that lower eyelid. Other side. For eyeliner on the upper eye, instead of putting a thick coating of black liner on the top of the upper lid, I'm going to go in and tightline underneath my lashes. And I'm using today the Ulta Gel pencil, and this is a waterproof gel pencil. And I'm just going to run it underneath my eyelashes very close to that lash line, and this is just really going to define and help pop that upper lash line. So I just go right in under the lashes and run it back and forth, just as close to the bases of the lashes as possible. And you can see when you compare this eye to this eye has much more definition and much more pop already, even without mascara. Now that I have my eyes all prepped with the tight line, I'm going to go in with the CoverGirl Exhibitionist Mascara. I love this mascara. It's a great price point. You can buy it at any drugstore. It has a great applicator, and it's dark and lengthening and volumizing all in one. So this is a wonderful mascara, and I can wear it 12 hours during the day, and it doesn't flake, it doesn't fall off my lashes, it stays right where I put it. So I'm going to start in with just one coat to get those upper lashes going. I really appreciate the length and volume that this mascara provides. See what a difference, and we're just at one coat. Here we are, 2 coats of the CoverGirl Exhibitionist Mascara, and you can see what a great job it does at defining the lashes, lengthening them, making them look more full. It's really a wonderful product. Before I put the lips on today, I'm going to go ahead and set my makeup. I'm going to be using the Catrice Prime and Fine. And this is just a very light mist, and it's going to really help all our makeup blend together seamlessly and keep it in place all day long. For lipstick, we're going to go with a soft pink color today, and I'm going to line my lips with the Revlon Rose lip liner. When I'm lining my lips, I like to line the outside edges of my lips because that's going to volumize my lips. They've gotten a little bit thinner as I've gotten older, so I like to give them as much volume as possible. Now that I have my lip liner on, I like to go back in with my finger and just smudge it and smooth it so it doesn't really have a really strong, sharp edge to it. That way it blends into my lip color much more easily. I'm going to be using the NYX lipstick in the color Darling. I love this color. It's really so pretty and great for any type of everyday occasion and even into the evening. So there we are, a full face of makeup for the mature woman, all from the drugstore. Great price points for all these products. Most of them are under $10. I want to thank you for joining me for this full face of drugstore makeup for the mature woman. You can see that there are so many wonderful products available in the drugstore today. I hope you'll go check some of them out. If you found this video helpful, be sure to click the like button. If you're interested in skincare, makeup, and style for the over 50 woman, make sure you click that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. This is Pretty Over 50. I'm Kimberly, and I thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.